Let's say you're interviewing for a new role and you have the enviable position of having an existing job that pays well, that you're doing great at, that you don't necessarily have to leave, but you're wanting to explore other opportunities, maybe increase your situation, better your situation. How can we be sure the thing we're going to be stepping into is safe enough, a low enough risk that we're not really throwing away something that we have now that's known for something that's very risky? This is a great question, something lots of us experience. A special shout out to mi hermana, Julissa G, for giving this great recommendation for a video. Keep watching, and when you're done, you'll have a much better idea of how you can make that decision in a way that's safe, sound, secure, avert as much risk as possible so you can continue to elevate your career. Hi, my name is Shawn Sommerkamp, and this is Motivationeer Christian Coaching. I post 2 videos a week, so please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can be reminded when I do. Please also consider becoming a member at Motivationeer.com. Your membership really supports this channel. Thank you. So let's start with the less favorable news. There's no way to completely eliminate the risk that you're going to be stepping into a situation that is not as good for you as the one that you're in now. That's why we always want to make sure that what we're moving to has a big enough payoff to avert that risk, because we can never completely get rid of the risk. The risk we'll be taking has to do with, let's say, the company culture. Let's say it's caustic and you don't really know. Or, as Julissa recommended in her question to me, I just looked down because she sent me a text, you don't know if the boss you're going to be getting is going to be the type of boss that's going to really look out for you and help you to be better, to help advance you, to mentor you, etc. These are risks. So how do you know? There's a few things you can do. Some are pretty obvious, perhaps some are not as obvious. The first one is do some research on the company. Look them up. I always recommend doing a Google search on the name of the company in recent news and just read about what's going on. Go to their website and look up each of the principals, the CEO, the senior executives, maybe the board members, and do a little bit of research into them using Google just to kind of see what their track record is. You can also go onto LinkedIn and look at their profiles and kind of see how long they've been in that role. If you're moving into a company where all the senior executives have only been in their role for a year, and you look at the rest of their experience, and they've only been in those past roles for a few years, that might be an unstable environment. So do a little bit of research. Glassdoor can help with this. They do have a survey system that allows employees to give comments about the company. It can give you some insight. I wouldn't base everything on Glassdoor, but it will help you with, company research. Now, what do you do to make sure, or to reduce the risk of taking a role that's going to have a boss that really doesn't believe in you? This is such a great question because we often don't think a lot about how we are also interviewing them. That's part of the interview process. We're not there to beg and hope and plead with them to hire us. No, we want to have more confidence in our own skill set than that. We want to have more confidence in God than that. So when we go to the interview, we want to have questions set aside, of course, to get to know the company better, but now also to get a better understanding of who you're going to be working for. So most companies today have an interview process that includes you being interviewed by some employees of that future boss. Some of your own colleagues will be interviewing you as part of the role. Sometimes you're going to be interviewed by someone that's above your boss. In the role that I was in at HID, where I was the Director of Professional Services for North America, my boss, the VP of Global Services, was involved in the interview process for all of my employees too. And I had several of my employees interview that potential candidate as well as me. So prepare your questions so that you can also ask about the boss, how long they've been in their position, how they got that promotion, where they came from, even if you're speaking directly with the boss, how long they plan on being in that role. Ask them about their career aspirations. And you can even ask the employees when you're interviewing with colleagues that work for the same boss, how they feel about that boss. Ask them to describe a great experience that they've had with the boss. Ask them to describe a not so great experience that they've had with your potential future boss. If you're interviewing with your boss's boss, ask your boss's boss what this potential new boss is doing well? What's an area that they like to improve on? Many company cultures today really try to foster this idea of an employee net promoter score. Having the employees that are reporting to a manager or a team lead or whatever basically annually review how well their boss is doing and give them some feedback. So when you ask, if you're interviewing with your boss's boss, you can ask this without being afraid of offending, because companies want that type of culture. Now, let's say you're interviewing directly with this future potential boss. You're going to also ask them questions that you know they're going to ask you. For example, say, hey, tell me a situation that you were in with an employee that you felt was a sticky situation, but that you handled very well. Then ask him or her, okay, tell me a situation where you were in with an employee that you feel like you could have handled better and why that was. Ask those probing questions. This will help that future boss, if you take the job or they offer it, let's say, to know that they're dealing with someone who's very sophisticated and could possibly be in their role in the future. When we're willing to ask these types of questions, it shows that we have a much higher level view of the organization and what really matters. Because one of the most important things in any company, in any job, is employee engagement. As you've heard me mention before, I got this research note from the Employee Engagement Group. Special shout out to Al Benowitz. The research that they provided was something like 35% of employees surveyed would forego a pay increase just to see their manager or boss fired. The reason why this is an important statistic for this video is because there is a chance you're going to get a boss that you just don't like, even if you do a really great job of asking questions and probing. Or you might be in a situation where your boss gets a sudden opportunity to get promoted within a few months after you get there, and you're going to have to take on a new boss that you had no idea was going to even be there. So we want to be able to adapt to that new boss, that one that we might not get along with so well, or to improve our chances of getting along with them. This takes resiliency. This takes us having a certain grit, I'll say, but as Christians, we can call it the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, and self-control. We want to have those as we're taking on a new boss that we didn't expect to have, let's say in this one example. Let's adapt to them. Another great thing you can do is do a DISC assessment. You've heard me talk about it some more so recently. Just send me an email, Shawn@Motivationeer.com, if you want to do a DISC assessment. I charge a little fee for it, but the DISC assessment is so profoundly powerful because it teaches us how to identify their behavioral styles and then learn how to adapt to them. It gives you some cheat sheet recommendations. There's no way we can be absolute sure we're going to have a boss that we love, that's going to really love us. So during the interview process, ask the probing questions. And then when you're in a situation where some turnover happens and you suddenly get a new boss you weren't expecting, learn really how to adapt to that person. Start investing in yourself to develop that skill. It will serve you well, not only with that boss, but future roles when you start getting promoted and suddenly have a boss that you never knew you were going to have, and you can adapt to them as well. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. Tell me in the comments below about your career situation, and I'll make a video for you with a shout out. You can also become a member at Motivationeer.com. Your career is not just a way to make a living, it's a way to transform the world.